Okay, and let's start. List, please, data types in JavaScript.
Boolean, number, big int, string, now undefined, symbol, and object.
What are two different types in JavaScript? For example, we have primitive data types and special. Yeah. What are differences between them?
The difference is when we try to copy them. So the primitive types are copied by value, and reference types are copied by reference. We can see it in function parameters when we pass objects as arguments to functions and then mutate them inside the function. The original object is changed as well, but this does not happen with primitives because a new copy of them is created inside the functions.
Yeah, okay. Open please link I sent you in the chat and share your screen. We go through some small task.
Screen share. How do I share the screen? I can't find the button.
There is a button nearby chat.
I think I found. I think I started to share. Now I need to.
I can see your screen. Yeah. Yeah, what do we get in console? Inside function and outside function.
This is a function. So we have a parameter. Which is we invoke the function. We call the function with a, and a is defined here, this object. So inside function we have this object, in which we then change the property b to have value of 2. So a will be an object with key b and value 2.
You can write the answer nearby with console. Not here. You can write here.
Yeah. It has to be this, and here it will be the same because it's the same object.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, let's move on. Okay, how can we declare a function in JavaScript?
There are mainly two ways we can do it. First is called function declaration. It's when we start with the function keyword. The second way is called function expression. There is a special type of functions called arrow functions, but I think they are part of function expression.
And what are differences between plain functions and arrow functions?
The biggest difference is that access them, call them before their declaration. This does not happen with function expressions.
What else?
You mean between function declaration and function expression?
No, between arrow function and other functions.
Arrow functions do not have their core context. They do not have this. It is taken from the outside scope. They also do not have an argument property. Arguments.
Yeah, okay. Go please through another link to code share. Yeah. And let's compare this data.
Okay. When the comparison operators are applied, operands will be converted to numbers. So the string with 2 will be converted to number 2 and is greater than 1, so the result is true. Here the string will be converted to 1 and the result will be true because we do not check for types. So it's not strict equality. Here we will get false because the types of values are different. Here we'll get true because false is converted to 0 and it is equal to 0. So the result is true.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, let's move on. Okay, which methods do you know from to work with objects?
There is a method object.create which takes another object, a prototype, as an argument. And it creates an object with that prototype. There is also an object.assign method which will merge all the objects that we list as arguments to that function and return one object resulting. I think there are.
Okay, maybe you know this one. Why do we need define properties?
Is it a method?
Yeah. Object that define property or object that define properties?
Define property. No, I don't know about this.
Have you heard about object descriptors?
Yes, there's a article on Learn JavaScript, but I haven't read it.
Which do you know? Object descriptors.
I have no idea. Maybe it's
okay. We'll help you.
Mutation.
For example, writable, enumerable.
So it is about mutation, the first one.
Yeah, something like this. We have 3 object descriptors: enumerable, configurable, and writable. And
Okay.
object-defined property or object-defined properties can help us to work with these object descriptors. Okay, let's move on. What is hosting?
Hosting
Mhm.
is a feature in JavaScript that allows us to access variables declared with var keyword or functions declared as function declarations before their definition in the code.
Variables which defined with let and const are hosted.
No, they are not hosted.
Yeah, they are hosted, but they have temporary dead zone, and that's why we get an error if we try to work with them before their declaration.
So hosting means that the JavaScript allocates memory for these variables. So
Something like this. That means that before our code will be completed, all variables function declared and go to the top of their environment. And after that is happened. You can save some data to this variable, but before also these variables are created. Okay, let's go to the arrays methods. And which do you know to work with arrays?
array method map, reduce, filter, sort, split, slice, splice.
Why do we need reduce?
We needed to perform the same operation while we iterate over each element, and then get some resulting value and return it. For example,
Yeah, okay.
we could find a sum.
Yeah, okay. What is a constructor?
A constructor is a special function that initializes new objects properties and returns that object.
How can we set prototype with function constructor?
Functions have a property called prototype, so we can assign to that property an object which is a prototype.
Yeah, okay, I got you. What are other ways to set prototype?
There is a method for this called set prototype of object.set prototype of. Also, there is a setter in this situation setter called a proto. For this, we can also do this.
Yeah, and you earlier mentioned object create. Yeah.
Yes, this also works.
Yeah. Okay. Let's look on task about prototype. Give me please a moment. Yeah, this one.
Okay, we create an object C whose prototype is object A. Then we access the property of object C, and there is we find that the property in C's prototype, the value will be taken from there, which is 1. Maybe I need to refresh the page.
Yeah, try to update.
Edit. So this will be 1. If we try to delete from the C, I'm not sure, but I don't think that it will delete it from here. So maybe 1 again. If we delete it from here, then yes, it should delete. And so it will be must be undefined. A that's equals to C that's C2 C Z3 AC still 2.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, let's move on. Okay, let's go through think away task. I also add the char. And you can write the number of order nearby with every console. For example, 1, 2, like this.
Okay. In event loop, first the main script is executed, so this console log has to execute, I think. So it will be first, then promise is handler function is a micro task, and so it has to run before set timeout, which is a macro task. So this will be executed next. Then resolve is this one here. So this will be 3. Then probably this one next, and this last one.
No, you're wrong about function executor of promise. This function is synchronous or asynchronous?
It's probably synchronous.
Yeah, because you are just create new promise, and it is also synchronous operation. So let's fix the order.
Then this will be first,
Mm-hmm.
second. Is it correct now?
Yeah, and now it's correct. Yeah. Okay, let's move on. Okay, let's also go through another task of promises.
Okay. Turn 1, so we get data will be string 1 here, and then it will be logged in the console. This returns 2, but because it's finally, probably this will not be executed. Is the output just 1?
But what do we get on 63 line?
Not sure about whether the last 10 on 163 will be executed or not. If
it will
there
be.
is finally before it. Then
what are differences between then, catch, and finally? Why do we finally
execute? We need it for tasks that do not depend on the promise result. When we do not care whether it will be resolved or rejected, but we need to do some action, then we use finally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And what does it mean? That finally works separately, yeah, and it can affect to the promises chain. That means.
But the order does not matter for finally. It doesn't necessarily has to be the last one.
Yeah, that means that here you got undefined because finally doesn't get nothing inside arguments, and it can return anything to the promises chain. That means that last then got data from previous then. from this one, and you get here 1. Have you got it?
No, can you please say it again?
Finally works separately of promises chain. That means that it can be get anything from previous, then or catch, and it can return nothing to next chain, to next element of chain.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, let's move on then. Which methods do you know from Promise API?
There are methods like promise that all raise all settled and some others. Yeah, for example, resolve used here. There is also reject.
What are differences between promise raise and promise any?
I cannot remember exactly. I just remember that the difference was in that in some methods function, or not function, the error is returned. In some functions, it is not. In some methods, only the first resolved promise is returned. In other methods, all object of all promises is returned. So I can't answer the specific question you asked.
Okay, I will help. Promise raise return the first completed promise. It can be result or error. And promise any return the first successful promise. Okay, let's move on and let's talk about this. What do you know about this special keyword?
This is a
this.
Yes, this is called. It is referred to as a call context. So it's the in functions. It is the object before the dot. It is the object in context of which we call the function. If inside the function we refer to this dot in something like some properties of that object, then this is what it is.
How can we set this?
There are 3 ways for doing this. All functions have methods such as call, apply, and bind. First 2 will call the function with context we specify, and the third one will bind the object to the function once and forever, so we cannot change it in the future.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. What is closure?
Closure is a combination of a function and its outer lexical environment in which it was defined. So function can access, it knows and it can access variables outside of its own scope.
Mm-hmm. Why do we need closure?
There are cases when we can save an internal state of the function separately for each function call. For example, we may want to create a timer, not timer, but counter for when you click on a button, and for each function, for each new function call, the internal state will be different because for each function call, the lexical environment will be different.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we needed to encapsulate some data. Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. If we remember about encapsulation, let's remember other OOP programming principles.
Yes, there are four principles: inheritance,
Mm-hmm.
encapsulation, abstraction, and polymorphism. Inheritance
Mm-hmm.
means that we can reuse the functionality of other objects in specialized versions of these objects. Now, polymorphism means that we can redefine, not redefine, but implement methods from the superclass differently in each subclass. Now, abstraction means that we do not need to know the internals of the of how the class works. We just have an interface through which we get the functionality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
Okay.
encapsulation is about it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's move on. Okay. Which area of visibility do you know in JavaScript?
There is a global scope, functional scope, and block scope. Global scope is the script file.
Mm-hmm.
It is available from anywhere. Functional scopes are only accessible inside function, and block scopes are accessible inside blocks, and constructions like loops, if statements,
Mm-hmm.
switch, maybe.
Okay, what is area of visibility for variables which declares with var?
Scope is functional.
Okay, what about Latin context?
Their scope is block scope.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, let's move on. Which code styles do you know, and which of them do you use in your practice?
I know about Airbnb, JavaScript code style, and about Google code style, but I think the most popular is Airbnb, and I just use Prettier, and I'm not sure, maybe it is Airbnb code style.
Okay, let's move on. Okay, let's talk a little bit about network and what are request types, do you know?
We can, there are HTTP methods for communicating with the server. There is a get method for retrieving information. There is a post method for sending information. There is a put and patch methods. The difference is that put, we replace the something with completely, but with patch we can change some, only some properties. There's also delete method for deleting resources.
Yeah, okay. Let's talk a little bit about CSS and what do you know about selector weight and its calculation?
There are three values. The left one is more important than the rightmost. So, as I remember, the least important is for the number of tag names. The middle one is for the number of classes we specify, and the first one is for the number of IDs. And
the last one,
the value,
the last one ID, yeah.
The first one, no, yeah, ID.
ID, yeah. And for example, if we add styles, add inline style, right, to the HTML element.
Yeah, it has to overwrite everything else, anything else. So its specificity has to be higher than even that of ID.
Yeah, okay. Let's move on. Okay, and the last question will be about async await. What is it, and what are differences between promises?
Async await is a syntactic sugar for writing asynchronous code so that it looks like it's a synchronous code.
How can we process errors with async await?
We need to wrap the await calls with try catch blocks.
Yeah, okay. And the last question: have you heard about BAM?
Yes, it is the way to call class names invented by Yandex, probably, and it uses it stands for block element and maybe modifier, and it is used for easier navigation, maybe in the code, so that we know which class in which container it is, and so on.
Yeah, you're right. Okay. It was my last questions. Probably, do you have questions to me?
Yeah. Is this type of question like is it a difficulty of these questions the same for junior, middle, senior interview, or is this a light version?
It is light version.
Even for a junior interview?
Well, it's hard to say it right now because to identify, you also need to learn some framework or library like React, for example. Yeah. And after that, I can say what is your level. If we are talking about JS, it's not enough.
Okay.
For this level, I think it is okay, and you can go and started learn framework. But I recommend you read about object descriptors and repeat promises API methods like all settled, all, raise, any, and things like that. Yeah.
Are object descriptors used in practice, or is it more of an interview type question?
It is main topic of JavaScript core. So I think it will be okay if you know about object descriptors and you know how to work with it.
Okay.
Okay, then let's finish. It was nice to talk to you. Have a nice evening then.
You too.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.